Hello there everybody, and thank you for joining me in today's yoga practice. Just as a fair warning, I'm filming on a GoPro and the batteries last from 30 to 45 minutes, so likely this battery will run out and I'll be switching it at some point midway through. The theme for today's practice is grounding through strength, and it's also about balance. And so to talk a little bit about why I chose that theme, I chose that theme because I'm a skateboarder of 20 years, been doing it a long time, and my yoga practice has helped my body and my skate longevity immensely, and I see it as helping me for many years to come. There's once a point where I had sustained some injuries and was dealing with some chronic pains, and I was not able to skate at nearly the level that I once did, and I did not enjoy skateboarding nearly as much as I once did because of all the pains I was experiencing. And yoga, along with some other kinds of mindful fitness practice, really transformed how I use my body and how I care for it. And now I skate at a level that's better than I ever have before, but I also enjoy it a lot more, and I know how to care for my body so that I don't end up in so much pain. It's real, real nice. And my main interest in being a yoga teacher is in teaching yoga to other skateboarders to hopefully give them the same thing. Now, why I chose grounding through strength. Skateboarding involves a lot of jumping movements. You're constantly squatting a little bit and then jumping a little bit, and you're doing that kind of thing all the time. And I've pulled a lot of muscles for that way and from doing that, and I feel like skateboarders are always right on the edge of pulling a muscle. And for me, I found kind of my solution in Hatha yoga and in the grounding, strengthening aspects of practicing yoga postures. I've found that using yoga postures to strengthen my body has been the real key to my own body's health. It's what I needed to bring myself back into balance, and that's why the other theme of this practice is balance, because I mean, skateboarders, in one sense, have great balance, right? They're able to balance on a skateboard very well. But in another sense, skateboarding is not a very balanced activity. You know, it's really intense, and it is not restful, and it develops your strength in kind of a particular way. It's very aerobic strength versus anaerobic, and I think it's important to get that grounded strength, and I found that in yoga. So that's today's theme, and I also have chosen postures which I feel kind of connect the root and heart chakras. So I think it's important for skateboarders to learn to center their energy, because as you do all these wild jumping kind of maneuvers, and you know, you're pushing on your skateboard, and that's a kind of a bouncing movement in and of itself, it's just a lot of ungrounded type of movement. And so by teaching the parts of your body and your soul, mind, emotions, which kind of exist between the root and heart chakras, teaching those parts of your body to be more front and center, to talk to each other well, and to lead the way, it's really important for us people who skateboard. So without further ado, we'll get into the practice. First thing we're going to do is called mountain pose. So we're going to start by standing up. You can bring your big toes together, face forward, and open the palms to face forward as well. And here, just start breathing either in your nose and out your nose, or in your nose and out your mouth. And I want you to begin putting a focus on your feet, pressing down into the toes, pressing down into the ball mounds on the bottom of the feet, that part of your foot directly beneath your toes, pressing down through the heels. Then start to activate your calves and use those to help ground your feet. Use them to more firmly press your feet into the ground. And throughout this mountain pose, we want light activation through the whole body. So we'll move on, and I'll call your attention to other places to activate. But we're not going for a 10 out of 10 effort here quite yet. We're going for a 3 out of 10, something nice and easy here. So right now focused on pressing the feet as well as the calves into the ground. Start to also squeeze the thigh muscles lightly toward each other, and you can also engage your legs, the back of the legs, the front of the legs, your whole thigh, as well as your glute muscles to also push into the ground and ground that way. From here, with your breath, I want you to imagine yourself getting a little taller with every inhale, and then grounding more with every exhale. With every inhale, you can lift your ribs away from your hips, feel the chest lift and open. With every exhale, squeeze the core a little bit, and then put the focus back into the lower body, pushing the lower body into the ground. I think my cat would like to join our practice. With every inhale as you lift, you can imagine the top of your head moving up toward the ceiling. Maybe that actually happens if you're elongating your spine. Once again, every exhale, grounding, tightening the core a little bit, using the core as well as the whole lower body to push down into the ground. Go for a few more breaths here. So with that theme of grounding and balance at the same time, it's important to expand a little bit to counteract the grounding. Typically, maybe skateboarders are too expanded. But it's a good idea to lengthen the body. We're growing upward and grounding down for the full picture to maintain that balance. And when you're ready, you can shake it out a little bit if you like, or move right into our next posture / exercise. I'm going to do some dynamic stuff today in addition to holding postures. So for the next posture, we're going to start with some dynamic back bends and then end by holding the back bend. So with most of your body, you can remain in that mountain pose type position. But when you're ready, take a breath in, reach the hands above the head, and from here, there are a few different options you can go for. You can clasp the hands together, interlacing the fingers. You could hold both hands straight up above the head. You could grab a strap or even an imaginary strap if you don't have a real one, and then expand the hands a little bit, expand the arms a little bit, reaching in either direction to get a little bit more shoulder action for your preference. So that part's up to you. Right now I'm going to put my hands together. And on an inhale, we will once again lift up and get a little bit taller. But this time on an exhale, while maintaining light activation in the core and glutes, I want you to bend the upper back just slightly backwards. And for your first time, you don't have to go all the way back, but just go a little back. And then when you inhale, once again, grow upward and come out of the back bend. Exhale, just the upper back moves backward. You can imagine putting both of your shoulders back on a shelf behind you, an imaginary shelf. And once again, inhale, grow upward, come back into more of a mountain pose. And with each exhale, you can go a little bit further back, but we're not bending the mid back or lower back at all. We're just moving the upper back. Breathing in to get taller. Breathing out to move backward just a little bit. Once again, squeezing the core and glutes to continue engaging the lower body, pushing the lower body into the ground, and to keep the lower back safe. We don't want the lower back bending, just the upper back. And you can keep the core lightly engaged to ensure that that part of the body stays stable down there. So a couple more exhales while moving back. Inhales while getting taller and moving forward. And then when you're ready at your own pace, after a certain exhale, you can stay in your back bend for 3 to 5 long, slow breaths in and out the nose. I'm coming out of my back bend. You can choose to stay in yours for just a few more moments if you'd like. Once again, if you feel the need to shake it out, move a little bit, please do so. And next we'll go into some dynamic side bends. So once again, still staying with the lower body in kind of a mountain pose position. Just giving you a little bit of time to transition from your back bend if you're still in it. You can bring the hands above the head. Once again, taking your pick of either interlacing the fingers, keeping your hands at your side, getting a strap or imaginary strap and pulling the hands away from each other. That will activate the shoulders a little bit more if you're interested in kind of more upper body action. To start with the dynamic side bend, we'll start by bending towards your right. So on an in-breath, once again get taller, standing up as if in a mountain pose. And on an out-breath, we will bend the body towards the right, staying strong through the core still, not collapsing at all. And then as we breathe in, come back to the middle. Breathing out, moving toward the right, still pressing the feet into the ground, keeping both the left and right sides of the body long. Breathing in to come back to the middle. Breathing out to bend towards the side. The left side, as you move toward the right, will expand a bit more. You may feel the right or the left hip open more, but once again, we do not want to collapse on the right side. We want to keep that side nice and long as well, using the core to lift the ribs away from the hips. Inhale to come back to the middle. And at your own pace, do 2 to 3 more of these. Breathing in to get tall. Breathing out to bend to the side. When you're ready, you can put the arms down, give them a little break. I'm going to shake out my shoulders a little bit since I've been holding the hands above the head a good amount. And when you're ready, we'll do the same thing on the other side. So once again, big toes are together, feet push into the ground, thighs lightly squeeze toward each other, core stays strong. Breathe in, bring the hands above the head, ribs lift away from the hips with the strength of the core. Breathe in to get tall, push the head up toward the ceiling. Breathe out and lean toward the left, staying strong through both feet, staying long through both sides of the body. Breathe in, come to the middle. Breathing out, going down to the side, using the core to stay strong, guiding the body toward the side with the core. Breathing in to come to the middle. Breathing out to bend. Breathing in to come to the middle. I'll let you do 3 to 5 more of those at your own pace. Generally, it's best to do the same amount of movement on each side, or spend the same amount of time on each side in a posture when you're doing something one-sided like this. But my opinion is that unless you're doing the same kinds of movements or postures very frequently, doesn't have to be an exact science. Obviously, you wouldn't want to go for 2 bends on one side and 10 on the other. But if you get it ballpark, and you're not overdoing it by doing it lopsided all the time, I think you'll be just fine. When you're ready, you can let the arms down, shake them out a little bit. And for our final standing posture, at least for a little while, I want you to take a wide-legged stance. Wide enough so that it's significantly wider than touching the toes together, but not so wide that you're uncomfortable. You want to very comfortably be able to ground both feet into the floor, so not by any means your widest stance. Maybe if pushing yourself to your widest stance is a 10, you could go for a 4. Reach each arm out to the side, away from the other. So your body forms kind of like a star formation right now. Breathe in and get taller once again. Breathe out, reach the right hand down to touch the left foot. Breathe in and come to the middle. Then breathe out, reach the left hand down to touch the right foot. Breathe in and come to the middle. At your own pace, do this slowly. Keeping your core strong the whole time. It's important when we forward bend and when we twist to involve the core. To protect the lower back, really to protect the whole body, but also to ensure the movement is strong and we're involving the center of our body with what we're doing, as opposed to ignoring that and neglecting to utilize the strongest set of muscles in the body in a given movement or posture. Once again, breathing out to reach down and touch one foot, breathing in to come up back to the middle. Just do a couple more of these at your own pace. Still rooting the feet into the ground. You can also squeeze the feet and squeeze the thighs toward each other for an extra grounding effect. And when you feel that you've done an even number on each side, or if you're just ready to move on, our next set of postures will happen on the ground. So what we'll be doing next, what we call bird dogs. Personally, if I'm wearing a kind of baggier shirt like this, I like to tuck it in so it doesn't get in the way, at least in the front. We'll start in a tabletop position with both hands on the ground, directly beneath the shoulders, knees directly below the hips. You can either tuck your toes or leave them flat. That's up to you. And I want you to start by lifting one arm up. We'll lift the left arm up first. Put the left arm down. Lift the right arm up. Put the right arm down. Extend the left leg backward. Maybe kick your cat gently. Then put the left leg back down. Extend the right leg backward. Put the right leg back down. And now we're going to repeat all that, except while engaging the core. So, squeezing the core, imagining you're doing a plank. Reaching the left arm up, putting the left arm down. Reaching the right arm up, putting the right arm down. Reaching the left leg backward, extending the left leg backward, putting the left leg down. Reaching the right leg backward, extending the right leg backward, putting the right leg down. Now, if that was enough for you, if that felt like a good challenge, you can continue doing that. But if you want more of a challenge, then we can try a full bird dog. So what you would do for that is reach both the left arm and right leg out at the same time. Inhale while you do so. Then bring the elbow and knee together while exhaling. And we're going to start by doing a dynamic bird dog. So we will stay in motion, inhaling to expand, reaching the left arm out, reaching the right leg back, exhaling to contract, bringing elbow and knee together, keeping the core strong the whole time. I want you to go for 5 of these at your own pace. And see if you can slow your pace just a little bit. Breathing for longer, making the movements a little bit more in slow motion. And once again, if you're doing version 1 of just lifting up one appendage at a time, that is just fine. And you can feel free to sync your breath with those movements as well. Generally inhaling with the lift/expansion, exhaling with the tightening contraction. I think I've done more than 5. So I'm going to put that down. Give it a quick breather. And when you're ready, you can move on to the other side. So once again, reaching the right arm forward and left leg back while inhaling, exhaling to squeeze elbow and knee together, keeping the core strong the whole time. It will probably be more natural to squeeze the core more as you contract and bring elbow and knee together, but I will also want you to actively engage the core to stabilize the body as you expand. See if you can involve the core as much as possible here. Once again, going for about 5, or if you know you did more on the first side, then you can do that at your own pace. But I want you to push yourself to go slower. This kind of movement probably be more difficult if done slowly. As long as you're involving all of your strength. I'm going to finish on that side. Take another quick breather. When you're ready, we'll go for a static bird dog, so not moving. If you've been doing the single appendage lifts, then you can either join us for this static bird dog and see if that feels good for you, or you can do a static lift in which you lift one appendage at a time for a few breaths, and then switch when you're ready. But if you're going for the full static bird dog, we'll start by reaching the left hand out, reaching the right leg back, and holding this position for 3 to 5 long, slow breaths in and out the nose, or in the nose, out the mouth. As you breathe in, see if you can expand more, reach the right leg back more, reach the left hand forward more, while keeping the core steady and strong. But you will also likely feel the spine lengthen. You can even imagine pushing the top of your head toward the kind of front side of the room, I guess you could call it. And once you've taken enough long, slow breaths and sweated enough, you can, on a final exhale, bring the knee and elbow together. I like to expand once more and then put it down. Then we'll go for the other side. So once again, for 3 to 5 slow breaths in and out the nose, out the mouth. in and out the nose or in the nose and out the mouth. Reaching the right hand forward, reaching the left hand back. Doing that on an inhale, if you remember to. On each inhale, expanding the body. On each exhale, steadying the body, steadying the core. Another thing you can do on the exhale is squeeze the hand and leg together, which are on the ground. So on an inhale, reaching the right arm and left leg further away from each other. On an exhale, squeezing the left hand and right knee toward each other as you squeeze the core for added stability. And once again, when you're at the end of your 3 to 5 long, slow breaths, on an exhale, squeeze the elbow and knee together. Getting all the air out. Go for one final inhale and expand. And then put the appendages down. All right. So you can take a good breather. That was a good workout right there. Give it just a moment. When you're ready, we'll move into a dynamic cobra to start, and eventually static cobra. So you can start by lying on your stomach, and you can feel free to either begin by resting your head in your arms like so. You could rest it to one side or the other. You could use the strength of your arms to hold yourself up just a little bit in the starting position. That's up to you. Begin by touching your toes together in this lying down position. Start to press the tops of the feet into the ground, allowing your breath to become relaxed and even after that more challenging aspect of the practice. Lightly press the thighs into the ground. Once again, tuning into the breath, keeping it long and steady as you can. Maybe seeing if you can count to 4 or 5 Mississippi on an inhale. And then in 4 or 5 Mississippi on an exhale. Maybe it's difficult to breathe for that long, and that's okay. Maybe you'll go for 3 Mississippi. Maybe your Mississippi is a lot longer than my Mississippi. I guess it would depend on what you have in your head. At any rate, we're pressing the tops of the feet, tops of the thighs lightly into the ground. Start to activate the core and see if you can press your core and groin area lightly into the ground as well. I would recommend resting your head at this point if you have not already. I'm going to lift mine a little bit so you can hear me. But if I were doing this by myself, I would do something like this. And at this point, on an inhale, lift one leg, and then on the exhale, put it down. On your next inhale, lift the other leg, and on an exhale, put it down. Maybe pet your cat with your foot. And I want you to start alternating like this. Inhaling to lift the leg, exhaling to put it down. Doing the same with the other leg until you've lifted each leg 3 to 5 times. If you have a cat, hopefully it's not too tempted to attack your foot. Mine is very loving right now. She's not always like that. All right, once you've done enough of those leg lifts, you can relax the legs, relax the core area. Just take a couple breaths and reset. and then we'll get ready for the cobra. So once again, putting the big toes together, pressing the tops of the feet into the ground, pressing the tops of the thighs into the ground, squeezing the core to press the groin and core area into the ground. I now want you to rest your head on the ground, probably forehead to the ground. If you don't quite want to do that, that's okay. Bring your hands, your palms to face flat on the ground, your thumbs probably lining up about where your nipples might be. Maintaining how the lower body presses into the ground. Inhale and lift the chest forward and up. Exhale, put the forehead back on the ground, relax. Once again, on every inhale, lift the chest forward and up just a little while maintaining that push into the ground with the lower body. Exhale, put the chest back down, put the head back down. And I want you to do this very slowly. Once again, an emphasis on forward movement. So I want you to engage as much of your core as you can to pull the chest forward. You're pulling forward more than you're going up. This will help your spine get a little longer. It will challenge the core more in a unique way. And it will protect your lower back from you overdoing the bend. Squeezing the core, pushing the core and groin area, the thighs, the tops of the feet will also help protect your lower back. And when you're ready, on an inhale, lift up, and then we're going to hold ourselves up like this. So exhaling to ground, inhaling to lift forward and up just a little bit more, exhaling to push the lower body into the ground. If you want, you can also try to squeeze your shoulders, your lat muscles together for a little bit of a back workout or a little back activation, but that is optional. And ideally, you're not using your hands much at all. Maybe you are a little bit, maybe you're pushing into the ground a little bit, but you want to really hold this lift with the strength of your core as opposed to your hands. So you're not using your hands to twerk yourself up into a back bend. The goal is not to bend your back as much as possible. The goal is to engage the core, challenge the core to lift your body. And when you're ready, take one last inhale, get just a little more forward, a little taller, and then exhale to put everything back down. All right. Yeah, let's shake it out a little bit. So next we'll go for some dynamic downward dogs. Keep my shirt tucked. We'll start in a tabletop position once again. Hands directly below the shoulders, knees below the hips. This time you can tuck your toes in the back like so. And when you're ready, press your butt up into the air, come up into a downward dog posture. Here we're using the hands very purposefully to press into the ground, pressing the ball mounds of the hands into the ground, that place right below each finger, engaging the strength of the forearms and the biceps to hold the upper body, engaging the strength of the core, glute muscles, and hamstrings to push the butt up and back and hold the back of the body in this nice position, not worried about bringing the heels to the ground, allowing the heels to be a little bit lifted if that's where they want to be. If your heels want to go all the way to the ground, that's cool. And we will start pumping the feet just a little bit. So reaching those heels reaching one heel a little closer to the ground while lifting the other heel a little bit up, and then alternating and doing the same on the other side. So one heel goes down, one heel goes up, then the other heel goes down, the other heel goes up. And you don't necessarily have to sync your breath to this movement, but remain mindful of the breath moving in and out of the body. Once again, directing it in the nose, out the nose, or in the nose, out the mouth. You'll feel one hamstring at a time get longer. Might feel your hips open up a little bit. Keeping your core strong, keeping your forearms, hands, and biceps strong, keeping your glute muscles pushing up toward the ceiling. When you're ready, put that down, come into a tabletop, take a quick rest. Pascal, that's her name. She loves to rest. Don't we all? All right, so then we'll go for the static downward dog. So once again, starting in a tabletop position. Hands beneath the shoulders, knees beneath the hips, tucking the toes, pushing the butt into the air with both the strength of the butt itself as well as the core. Pressing down into the ball mounds of the hands with the strength of your hands, your palms, your fingers, engaging the forearms and biceps to press forward into the ground, engaging the core and glutes and hamstrings to push upward and back, and kind of like making yourself a counterweight in that sense. Once again, not forcing the heels to the ground, allowing them to be where they are. Holding this position with strength, allowing the hamstrings to open, lengthen. Breathing nice and evenly. Go for 3-ish breaths. And then coming back down. All right. Next, we'll go for a nice bridge pose in which we focus on really activating the glutes. So you can start lying down with your feet near your butt, arms by the sides, just looking up at the ceiling. I like to start by engaging my feet, just pressing the feet into the ground. Heels, ball mounds of the feet as well as the toes all pressing into the ground, and I can feel my thighs, glutes, and hamstrings activating just lightly to press the feet down. Then activate the inner thighs, pulling the inner thighs toward each other. If you have a block, it can be very helpful to squeeze that block with your thighs. Hold it in between them. If you don't have a real block, you could even use an imaginary one. And imagine squeezing a block between your thighs. This helps stabilize you before getting into the posture. And then involving the strength of your core as well as your glute muscles, push up into a bridge posture. And when I say bridge, as a skateboarder, I kind of like to think of ramp posture. And I like to think of myself more as a triangle than a bridge necessarily, because a bridge sort of implies that you become round and you bend the back quite a lot, and that's not what I want you to go for right now. I want you to go for more of a triangle, so like your shoulders to your knees are the longest end of the triangle, then you've got your knees to your feet being another end of the triangle, another side, and then the floor from your heels to your shoulders are another part of the triangle. And this is a nice stable triangle. I'm not necessarily going for a back bend here. I'm going for glute engagement. That's what it's all about. Also hamstring engagement. So I'm really squeezing my glutes tight, squeezing them toward each other. I am pulling my heels back toward my shoulders, and that gets the hamstrings activated. If you do that, I suggest starting slowly, starting lightly, because if you're not ready for it and you go too hard, you could pull a hamstring and you don't want that. So go for light activation, sharing the load between the glutes, hamstrings, core, pressing into the feet and involving the calves there as well to stabilize. Breathing in through the nose, out through the nose or mouth, nice and evenly. Hold this for 3 more breaths if you're not exhausted yet. And if you're ready, you can slowly come back down. Take a moment, shake it out, move the body a little bit. All right, so next we're going to stand back up and go for a nice warrior one posture. So start with the right foot in front, the left foot in back. You can point the left foot 45 degrees. You don't want it directly behind the right foot. Have it offset just a little bit. Bend the right knee. Press the left side of the left foot into the ground. Reach both hands above the head. And we'll start to move into this warrior one. So on each inhale, I want you to use the core to lift the ribs away from the hips, get a little taller. With each exhale, see if you can squeeze the legs together. You can imagine the left hip moving forward just a little bit, the right hip moving backward just a little bit, both feet pressing into the ground. Use the core to stabilize. So once again, breathing in, getting tall. Breathing out, stabilizing, squeezing together. If your hips get even, leave them there. Don't put the left hip in front of the right hip. That's going to be a little weird. If you can get them nice and even, that's awesome. If they're not quite even, and mine are not, that's totally cool. But creating the sensation of bringing them together is what is going to be great for your body. Just a couple breaths here. And when you're ready at the end of an exhale, you can step up, bring the feet together, then step the right foot back. Once again, pointing the right foot at about a 45-degree angle, pressing the right side of the right foot into the ground, pressing really all of both feet into the ground, but the right side of the right foot is important for stabilization. Reaching the hands above the head, left knee is bent. Inhaling to get nice and tall, growing upward, pushing the top of the head toward the ceiling. Exhaling to squeeze the core, squeeze both feet toward each other, squeeze the inner thighs toward each other, pulling the right hip slightly forward, the left hip slightly back. Another thing to work on in this warrior posture is putting your weight into your hips and core instead of your knees. It's going to help with stabilization, strength, and having healthy knees. Once again, inhaling to grow, exhaling to stabilize. It is a lot to think about at once, but that's part of the beauty of yoga, challenging the mind to interact with the body in a complex way, demanding your strength and attention, and hopefully feeling good about it. And once again, when you're ready, step forward, bring both feet together. All right, so for our final, more intense part of the practice, we're going to go for a more dynamic movement that involves a lot of balance. If this seems too dynamic for you and you're not feeling it, then you could either do only one of the postures that I show you instead of transitioning between them. You could do both postures, but pause between each one instead of transitioning between them. So to show you just very quickly before I really describe it, I'm going to be lifting up one leg and then putting it back and then lifting it up again. And if that seems too much, you could either just do the lift, you could just do the airplane, as we call it, or you could do the lift, put the foot on the ground, then the airplane. So I want you to listen to your own body and figure out the best thing for you. So to get into doing it, we'll start with what we call standing march hold. So we'll ground the right foot into the ground, nice and strong through the right foot, right leg, right glute. Lift the left leg up, press the left leg into the left hand as you reach the right hand up above your head for kind of a counterbalance. We'll breathe in here. Breathe out, move the left leg back, standing strong on the right leg, reaching both hands in front of you for a counterbalance into an airplane. Exhale here once for stabilization. Inhale, bringing the left foot, left leg back forward, pressing the thigh into the left hand, getting tall. Exhale, strengthen here, stay here, push the left thigh into the left hand. Feel the left thigh working out a little bit right there. Inhale. Exhale, move into airplane, reaching both hands forward, reaching the left leg back. Once again, if you're not feeling the full thing, you can just put the leg down, chill for a second, then go into the airplane. Generally, inhaling as we move upward, exhaling as we move downward, syncing your breath with the movement like that. So I'm going to go for one more dynamic standing march hold. Inhale, press the thigh into the hand. Exhale, reach forward with the arms, reach backward with the leg, stabilizing through the right foot, pressing down into that right foot, using the glute to stay strong, core to stay strong. And now I'm going to inhale, come back up into the standing march hold, still strong in the right leg, and we'll stay here for 3 breaths. So pushing the right or left leg into the left hand, feeling the workout there, getting a little taller with each inhale, stronger with each exhale, pushing down through the right leg, using the strength of the right glute, right thigh, right calf, and right foot, the whole leg. And if you fall over like I just did, that's totally cool. Just get back up into it for one more breath. And now I'm going to go into an airplane posture and hold that for 3 breaths. Once again, hands reaching out in front of me as a counterbalance, left leg backward, glute strong, leg strong to stabilize through the right leg, holding my core strong to stabilize the mid-body, but also to keep the spine long. Holding here for 3 breaths. And when you're ready, putting that back down, I'm gonna reach up toward the sky because I feel like it. And I was just bending over, so it's a good counter pose, I guess you could call it. Just take a couple breaths before moving on to the other side. Also check in on our battery situation. All right, we're not totally out of battery. We might actually make it through the whole session with 1 battery. That'd be pretty cool. Whew, wow, okay. All right, next up, standing on the left leg now, engaging the left glute, left leg, and the core to stabilize on that left leg. Reach the right leg up, press the right thigh into the right hand. Left hand reaches up above the head to counterbalance this time. And then when you're ready, you can either transition between the poses, stay in one pose you like a lot, or take the slower transition in which you put your foot down all the way and then move into the next one. Your choice. Once again, generally, as we move downward, breathing out. As we move upward, breathing in. As we breathe in, expanding generally. as we breathe out, contracting, stabilizing, grounding generally. So from standing march hold, going to exhale, move it to airplane, both hands go forward, right leg goes back, left leg works extra hard to stabilize, core works extra hard to stabilize, holding this for a cycle of breath. Inhaling to come back to standing march hold, pressing the thigh into the hand. Exhaling, still pressing the thigh into the hand. Inhaling, and then exhaling to go back into airplane. And it is totally normal and expected if one side is much more difficult than the other. This side feels easier for me, but balancing is harder. It seems that I'm exerting myself less when I'm having more wobbles. And wobbles are also totally okay. A lot of the times they mean you're challenging your strength, which is a good thing. Going to inhale, and then exhale down to airplane. Holding the core strong, holding my left glute strong. I'm even finding the need to press my left inner thigh toward the right. That seems to be helping me stabilize. That might just be how my own body is set up, but something you can experiment with. Breathing in, getting taller, lifting the right leg up, pushing the right leg into the right hand. Left hand reaches toward the sky to counterbalance. I fall down, and that's okay. Coming back into it. I'll move into one more airplane before going into the holds. And you can tell my body is starting to get exhausted because I'm losing balance a lot. Trying to maintain nice, even, mindful breath through these challenging postures. Okay, so going to go for a actual standing march hold right now, lifting the right leg up to meet the right hand. Left leg stabilizes, left glute stabilizes, core stabilizes. Staying in this position for 3 breaths. On each inhale, getting a little taller, lifting the ribs away from the hips with the strength of the core. With each exhale, getting more grounded, stabilizing. And then when you're ready, moving into one more airplane. Putting that right leg behind you, reaching both hands forward, arms forward, squeezing that left glute, left thigh, and the core extra tight to remain stable. Once again, seeing if you can lengthen the spine and expand even in this position during the inhales, and then ground, strengthen during the exhales. Coming back up, I am going to once again reach my hands above my head because it feels good after doing the airplane. Okay, now I am ready for some restful, restorative postures, and I hope you are too. First one I'm going to go for my body kind of just wants to do a different one than I had planned. I'm going to use a strap. If you have a strap, then you can do the same thing as me. If you don't have a strap, what could you do? If you don't have a strap, try this out. Start from a tabletop position, hands underneath the shoulders, legs, knees underneath the hips. Reach the right leg backward, but keep it on the ground. Lightly press the toes into the ground. Stay strong through both hands as well as the left knee. And just get a nice active hamstring stretch. Not an intense stretch, probably less than a downward dog would even stretch your hamstrings, but just a nice opportunity to lengthen the hamstring. and lengthen the thigh generally as well. And you can just stay in this position and breathe. Maybe pull the chest forward a little bit. Use the strength of your core to get tall, and that'll feel good. And you can do the same thing on the other side with the other leg. So that's how you can start off if you don't have a strap. If you do have a strap, you can follow along with what I'm going to do, because I'm just vibing with this more now that I've done all those other intense postures. You can start by lying down, strap wrapped around one foot, and then lightly lift that leg in the air and allow it to just rest. Passively, this hamstring stretch will be more intense than the one I just described, but it will be more passive than a downward dog stretch, and that's just what I feel like my body needs right now. And while I'm here, I'm breathing in through the nose, out through the nose, or in through the nose, out through the mouth. And as I do so, especially on my inhales, I am expanding the stomach. And on my exhales, I am squeezing the air out. And I'm just going to stay like this for 3 breaths on each side, or with each leg rather. And now I'll put my right leg down, wrap the strap around the left foot. Lightly lift that left foot into the air, allow the hamstring to get a nice passive stretch, and take 3 slow, deep breaths, filling my stomach as I inhale, and very lightly pushing the air out of the stomach as I exhale. And when you're satisfied with your hamstring stretch, you can move on to a nice, curled bug stretch. I'm not even sure if there's a name for this one, but I've seen it in quite a few yoga classes, and I like it a lot. Start on your back, hold each knee close to your chest, and just breathe here, if that's what you'd like to do. Or if you're like me and you want to be a roly-poly-oly bug, you can very lightly roll to one side and then very lightly roll to the other side. You might feel that you're giving your back a nice gentle massage on the ground. And when I do this, I feel the need to be a little extra gentle with my thighs, because if I pull my thighs too intensely towards the chest, my thighs get tight. And right now I'm going for relaxation, restoration. So I hold the legs lightly as to not make them tight while I rock side to side, allowing my breath to become slower and deeper. And if this feels awesome, you can keep doing it. Or if you'd like to join me in one final posture, still lying down, bring both knees directly above the hips and both calves to point outwards. So you kind of make a zigzag sort of lightning bolt shape with 90-degree angles. Reach each arm out towards each side and then gently lower the legs towards your right side. You might want to put the right hand on the left thigh if you feel called to do so, or you can leave it out. And just take 3 to 5 slow breaths. Looking up at the ceiling, you can close your eyes or soften them. I'm enjoying eyes closed at the moment for myself. Expanding the rib cage as you breathe in. Relaxing, exhaling fully. And when you're ready, you can bring the legs in the same fashion over to the left side, maybe putting the left hand on the right thigh, reaching the right hand out to the right. You can look straight up at the ceiling. You can soften your gaze. You can close your eyes. You could even choose to look back at your outstretched hand, but right now, I don't really feel like doing that. I just want to look at the ceiling because that's what feels good for me. Taking 3 to 5 slow breaths on this side, expanding the rib cage on the inhale, relaxing fully as you exhale. And when you're ready, we'll move into Shavasana. So, bringing the legs back toward the middle, allowing them to rest out in front of you, allowing both arms to rest by your side. Once again, you can keep the eyes open, you can soften the gaze, or you can close the eyes. Feel how the breath moves in and out of the body. Maybe at first on the inhales, purposefully expanding the stomach, the rib cage, lightly squeezing the air as it moves out of the body. But then after a number of breaths, maybe 3 to 5, no longer attempting to influence the body in any way with the breath, but instead just watching how the breath moves in and out of the body. Watching how the body reacts as breath moves in and out. Tune in and see if there are any spots where you habitually hold tension and now you're no longer. Or maybe there is a place where you're still holding some tension, and see if you can consciously let go of that. When I have a part of my body that I just can't seem to relax, I find it most helpful to instead try to relax every part surrounding that part. Forget about the tension, but can you more deeply let go every area that surrounds the tension? We'll stay here and breathe for some time. Okay, so I know if you're watching this to review my session for the yoga teacher training at MVP, maybe you're not interested in doing the whole 10-minute Shavasana, or maybe you are. So if you really are, then I invite you to just continue. But otherwise, because somehow miraculously this whole thing is fit into one battery life, I'm going to log off. I sincerely hope you enjoyed the practice, and I would love to hear any comments, criticisms, feedback, ways to improve that you might have. I could definitely see myself improving the instruction on the standing march holds to airplane sequence, maybe more carefully planning out exactly what cues I would use during that point. It's a challenging one. I'll have to think that one through. But if you have any pointers on that specifically, hey, I'd welcome it. Or if there's anything else you'd like to give me, that'd be awesome. And yeah, that's about it. If you want to move on with your day, then have a wonderful day. And if you want to stay in Shavasana for 10 more minutes, well, have at it. Have a great time. Peace out.